Welcome to the WIHS Journal. Have you had a loss of a spouse or know somebody who has lost a spouse? I wanted to let you know about the Grief Share Seminar, Loss of Spouse in Tallinn, Connecticut. That's this Saturday, March 8th at 1 p.m., hosted by the River of Life Christian Fellowship. On the phone line with me today was Veronica Trudell. Thank you so much for being with us today on the WIHS Journal. Veronica, maybe tell our listeners, why you particularly are involved with this Loss of Spouse Grief Share Seminar.
Well, thank you so much, Anissa, for having us. One of the things that has happened over the last several years that we've been hosting Grief Share, there's a regular series that goes for 13 weeks, and we do that twice a year. And one of the things that we've found is that there are many people that participate who've lost spouses. And that need has come up in so many different ways. Just what happens in that area when a spouse is no longer there. And that is really what has triggered us to say, we need to take advantage of something that Grief Share already has in place, and that's the Loss of a Spouse seminar.
Awesome. So tell us about it. Now, it's a Christ Center event. Maybe you can talk about what will take place from the time it starts and, what you plan to do throughout the seminar.
Yes, it is absolutely Christ-centered. We know that there's no healing without Jesus.
Amen.
The way that it's structured is that we have a little time. It's a 2-hour seminar. We have a little time of just welcoming everyone, getting folks to feel comfortable and settled. There is a participant manual, and what we do is we watch a video that is offered by Grief Share, and it has folks who've gone through the loss of a spouse, along with a multitude of counselors and pastors and folks who are really far more equipped to give advice and counsel for those who are in this place of suffering the loss of a spouse.
Wow.
Then we break apart. We have a discussion time where what has happened in the video is discussed in small groups. And so that gives everyone an opportunity to really hone in on the things that have spoken to them. One of the major things that we've seen is that folks need to have a place where they can actually voice what they're feeling without a lot of conversation and details. And because you're in an area or you're in a group that has experienced similar loss, you don't have to have all the nuances explained. And that conversation, that breakout session is really, really important to the overall healing, because people get to hear what others are going through as well as to give voice to what they're feeling.
If you are tuning in right now, wondering about this conversation, I am speaking to Veronica Trudell. We're talking about a Grief Share seminar for a loss of a spouse. I know that can be tragic. I remember being best friends with somebody who, lost her husband. It was just a tragic shake, and she has Jesus. So we just thank God that you guys are doing this. And I know that some of the topics are, what to expect of the days to come, how to deal with loneliness, what to do with the spouse's belongings, and why does it always hurt so much? Can you touch on maybe about how to deal with the loneliness, how you guys talk about that?
One of the things that the loneliness component is something that is such an important component, because that's where it really hits home. So one of the folks that we've been ministering to lost his wife about 6 months ago, and that's one of the things I hear from him quite often, and as well as the others who've been part of the group, is just how lonely it is. We do a lot of offerings of just what can you do in that place? Can you invite others into that arena? Can you make sure that you are engaged? But then the part that is like when you go home and you close the doors, that's something that you have to come to reconcile with. One of the other facilitators, and just a wonderful woman of God, Debbie Mann, She gave these words, and if you don't mind, I would like to share them because I think they really summarize in ways that I can't what it's like to go through the loss of a spouse.
Absolutely.
All righty. Since in the first few months after my husband's death, I was so overwhelmed with sadness and the responsibilities that suddenly were all mine. I was fearful and weary. I realized I didn't fit in anymore with the couples we knew. I cried out to God daily, asking him why and what will be my purpose now. I read these words and realize these were my words that I could not express. God spoke these words deep in my spirit. Peace is found in the surrender. Prior to these words, I hadn't been talking to God about peace or surrender. I was just merrily walking along when suddenly these words echoed through my spirit. Peace. I know why God chose to speak those words as I walked along that day. Deep in the waves of grief, I was fighting to find my way back up again, to find solid footing, to find direction, to find my life again. But I was also fighting with everything in me to keep from accepting this new place I found myself. I wanted nothing to do with being a widow. I wanted my husband back. The fight was exhausting. My life, the living of it, not just existing, was pouring through my hands with every tear that fell. When we get tired of the fight, tired of the struggle, tired of it all, we feel like, because while peace is found in the surrender, surrender doesn't mean giving up, at least not where the Lord is concerned. I have come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly, from John 10:10. Let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us in Hebrews 12:1-2. Surrender means letting go of what is holding us back so we can take hold of all that is up ahead. Surrender means if we get tired of walking, we don't sit down, we run to the Father, to life and life more abundantly. Abundance can only be yours when, through surrender, we make room for the new God longs to do. Peace comes when we surrender, and then surrender ushers in God's abundance. My God longs to show me up close and personal the abundance of life that is waiting there too. And this is from Stacy L. That poem was by Stacy L. Sanchez. His friends of mine told me about WIHS, and I joined in the 13-week program. I feel like I was among people who understood what I was going through and could come alongside me. I was so thankful to God for never letting me go. And that was Deborah Faust, man. And to go back to that question of what do you do about loneliness? Loneliness is something that you really have to invite God into. You really have to press into holding on to what Jesus is and who he is and finding new normals, new places of welcoming God into that space that your spouse occupied.
Well, very touching. Thank you so much for sharing something so sentimental. And maybe they're going through that loss and grief. You can just touch on more about this event. How do they find out more details? And what else you would like our listeners to know about this Grief Share seminar?
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's going to be at River of Life Church on Saturday, March 8th, 1 to 3 p.m. River of Life is in Tolland. It's at 58 Gerber Drive. The best way to register for the seminar, just to go on and find out more, is to go to the griefshare.org website. So it's griefshare, GRIEFSHARE, one word, .org. And if you put in a / find a group, you'll find loss of a spouse. And if you put in our zip code, it's 06084, 06084, it's Tolland. You'll be able to find the loss of a spouse link in that area. We can't wait to see what God does in this time.
Once again, that was Veronica Trudell sharing the Grief Share seminar, Loss of a Spouse, this coming Saturday, March 8th hosted at the River of Life Christian Fellowship in Tolland, Connecticut. Do you know someone who lost a spouse? Give us a call for more details at 860-346-1049. I'm Anissa Porticelli for News and Public Affairs.